Hi everyone, I'm James, and in today's episode on the restoration of my Spitfire, I'm finally getting around to this dodgy bracket. So I've already got the bonnet off for some other work. So today I'm going to be pulling all this to bits. I'll drop the lower valance off to make it a bit easier to get in, and I'll clean everything up and weld it all back together nicely. So if you enjoy my videos, hit that subscribe button and the like button and ding the bell for notifications and all that. Comment down below if you notice anything of interest or have any questions. So with that said, let's get on with it. We're free now. Yep. Do I need to take that off? Oh, it's just this. There we go. There's one bolt that's been left in. Oh, that's snapped off, I should say. So it was getting in the way. Yeah, one. What's left of a bolt from a very long time ago, I'd say. Take a break from that for a minute. Oh, let's take this to pieces. You can see where they've drilled multiple holes and made a big bloody mess. I have replacements for these brackets. It isn't actually in too bad a condition, but because I've got nice new shiny ones that I've already painted, I'll use those. But I will reuse these spaces because the new bracket didn't come with them included. I've just got the space, the spacer for the main bonnet connection that goes in the top of here. That all a bit straighter. Right, clean all that up. Okay, so I have ground off all the horrible crap weld that was on this before, given it a go over with the wire brush as well. It's taken me a good hour, but I think I've got a reasonable result to work with now. The welding that was on there before was, well, pretty much crap. So what I need to do now is get the rest of it cleaned up and sort out some welding. Okay, I've now cleaned everything up and set it all up so that it is near ready to start welding. I've used my laser level to line up where all the holes are going to be, so they're exactly 650 mil from the back of the crossbeam, which is the datum for the chassis. You can find all that information in the maintenance manual, which is available around online. If you are looking for it, drop me a line in the comments, I'll sort you out. So I've used the other bracket as a bit of a starting point for the laser level, and then that goes across, and these two holes need to be vertical approximately, and the bracket sort of sits approximately like that. So you can see there, I've got that all set up ready to weld. I will tack it on and then hammer out some of the bits that are still a bit proud to eliminate the air gaps. So it's going to be a bit of a mission to get it to weld nicely, but we'll see how we go. Right, I have now welded 4 values of welding. It's not the best dealing with all the holes that have been drilled through it. Made it quite hard given I'm an amateur at this. But yeah, that's one side, and here's the other side. Pretty lumpy. But what I have made sure of is that I was getting penetration through both pieces of metal when I was welding, ensuring there's a nice pool of molten metal between both of them. So I'll give that a bit of a tidy up and a paint, and I think that'll be pretty solid for a while at least. Okay, so I have now tidied up everything and given it all a paint. I've painted this side as well after cleaning off all the, well, most of the grotty paint that was on there before. It's just a zinc primer coat, still drying a bit. And here's the other side. I did grind all my crappy welding back a bit just because at the moment I don't have a bumper for the car, so these front horns are on show. I did find when I ground it all back that there weren't any cracks or bad signs in the welding, so that's good. It's all solid metal now. That should last well. Right, so now on to a final coat before it can all start to go back together again. Okay, I now have everything painted up. Done a bit of rust treatment on the lower panel just to get that sorted for now. Obviously that all needs a complete repaint at some point. And now I need to get on with assembling things. And back here we have the hood. I have again put in some rust treatment all around here to tidy this up. I'll give the bracket horn thingies a bit of a paint as well once that all dries, and it'll all go back together. So on with putting the brackets together. So here we have the various pieces of the system. Got a pile of bolts there to go with it all. These are the brackets that go between the chassis and the bonnet, and here's the spacers. So these smaller ones are for the actual eyelet on the bracket on the bonnet. So they slide inside there and bolt in this slot here with some packing washers, and these larger spacers are for the 5/16 bolts that go and they fit properly. They aren't all identical. Old car, so they go in there and space the 5/16 bolts that bolt these brackets to the chassis. That done. So I've got all that screwed down now. It's temporarily in place until I get the bonnet in place, and then everything will need all adjusting. The bolts I've got in here are slightly longer than I'd like, but the proper size is 2 1/4 inch long 5/16 bolts, and it's not a length that's readily available to me without going to an actual hardware supplier rather than just the local hardware store. So we've got it all bolted down. Next job, I'll do some work on getting the bonnet ready to fit, but before I fit that, I'll be putting the radiator back in. Okay, I've now sorted out the forks that go into the brackets on the front of the car. Just given them a rough coat of paint because, well, you can see the rest of it isn't in great condition, but just tidied them up a little bit. And I've put the insert spacers in. You just see on the, where can you see? Just on the edge there, you can just make out. I've used some insulation tape, just a couple of wraps around, just to take up any slack in those spaces, so they're pretty firmly stuck in there now. Stop any slop in the system. And yeah, now I just need to get the bonnet back on and get everything lined up. So to line things up, I will be using this adjustments here on the bracket. So this bolt here goes into a slotted hole, which you might be able to see in there. So we can adjust where this intermediary bracket sits, forward and back. And obviously we've got a slotted hole here for the fork to go in, and that will give us obviously height adjustment. So I'll get that all sorted so everything sits right. One last job I've got to do before fitting the bonnet. See these hooks here for the bonnet latches, both sides are very worn and stuffed, so I've actually got some new ones to put on, so I'll fit those now. Okay, so I've got this bracket off and we can have a look at what makes them up. So obviously you've got a standard hook sort of a bracket there, a bit of a leather spacer in behind it, and it uses 1/4 inch bolts that bolt into this little bracket that's loose in the back. So the way I usually get that off is to loosen the bolts enough so you can slide the bracket up, sorry, so you can get a socket onto both bolt heads, then take them both most of the way out, and then you can usually reach into the cabin yourself. I'll show you where that is. Okay, so inside here, the carpet pulled down. You can see right there is the other side of the bracket where that little screw plate sits. And here we have the other side all done earlier. So yeah, that's job's all done now. So now I'm completely ready, sort of, mostly, to fit the bonnet. Okay, so the bonnet's back on the car now. A bit of finagling and adjusting. Got everything sitting about right. Nothing's overly square on this car, so it's about close enough is good enough. It all came out reasonably well. So now I just need to sort out getting a bumper. I do actually have the overriders. I might put those on at some stage. And yeah, so that's a good job done. No longer have a rattling car.